Welcome to the Liberace Museum Foundation here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, with the founder of the Liberace Museum, Jonathan Warren. Jonathan, welcome to the show, and welcome to our viewers out there who want to know a little bit about the history of the Liberace Museum. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here?
Yeah, well, the founder is actually Liberace himself. He set up the Liberace Museum in its Las Vegas incarnation in 1978. And it used to be on East Tropicana Road in a shopping center that he actually owned back in those days. And that closed, that lasted many years. It closed back in 2010. And I came onto the foundation in 2012, and we started looking for possibilities, and we managed to get the collection moved here to Thriller Villa with several years of donation by its generous owner. And that allowed it to be incubated long enough to sustain itself. And so now it's the collection continues to be viewed all over the world, and it's based here at Thriller Villa.
Now, the Thriller Villa is a location that's here on the northwest side of town of Las Vegas, and I would say that the Thriller Villa is really it's like a museum itself. I mean, this mansion here is a beautiful mansion. Can you tell us the history behind this mansion here?
Yeah, it's a great bit of local lore. You know, it's Thriller Villa. The name it was built under is Hacienda Palomino, and it's a tremendous hacienda-style mansion that was built by a well-known Las Vegan back in the early 1990s, a guy named Horst Schmidt. Horst was a theater developer and built movie theaters. He was an acoustics expert, a sound engineer, and he built this place to live in and to entertain in, and to house his art collection. He was a big collector of Mexican art, and lived here for many years. And when he passed on, the current owner bought it, and the rest is history.
That's amazing that, you know, the history that goes on behind the Thriller Villa is something really unique, because the viewers out there that are watching this program, you're here in Las Vegas or wherever you are around the world, you want to come here and see this. You have a tour here on a daily basis. Can you tell us a little bit about the tour you have going on?
Yeah, the tour we do here is really exclusive. It's we do very limited numbers, so it's good to book it in advance. And we never do there's never more than a dozen people here. We keep it really small. It's not really open to the public. It's very much an exclusive thing. But this property was built with a massive facility for storing art and collections. And so it's an ideal place for us to maintain the Liberace Museum collection and to maintain a substantial exhibit of it. We started showing that to commercial entities and those people and companies that wanted to license Liberace's brand and his image and those sorts of things over the years. And that led to these limited tours that we do here on the property. So never more than 12 people at a time. And we run it just about every day, but it needs to be booked well in advance.
You also have group bookings as well, right?
We can. It's you know, mostly when we do that, it's the kind of thing where it's a private event that's held here, and when that happens, it benefits the Liberace Foundation for the Performing and Creative Arts.
Okay, now the tour. What's the length of time of each tour?
It'll go about 2.5 hours with lunch. It includes transportation and lunch. And it's sort of a half a day sort of a situation. It's very popular. It's very highly rated on TripAdvisor.
A nice lunch, and of course you top it off with a little bit of champagne at the end too, right?
Liberace, you got to have a little champagne.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you that this is really an amazing location to come to, because I've been here through these tours on several occasions, and I can tell you every time I go through this tour, I learn something new. There's nobody with more knowledge of the history of Liberace than Jonathan Warren, the CEO of the foundation. Now, you tell us that Liberace, you know him back then when you first came to Las Vegas, when you were like 4 years old. You started seeing a little bit of Las Vegas, what's happening. He was already a big star out here.
Oh yeah, no, he was the original star on the Strip. I mean, when Liberace came here, it was 1944. He was one of the pioneers of the Las Vegas Strip. When he came to the Las Vegas Strip, it wasn't called the Strip yet. It was two hotels out on Highway 91, and he opened for Sophie Tucker who I think is an old friend of yours.
Correct.
And so that was 1944. So he's one of the original guys.
Yeah, now I'll tell you, Liberace definitely is one of the biggest stars, biggest names in the history of entertainment. Because if you hear some of these singers out there, hip hop out there, how many times they mention Liberace in these recordings?
Hundreds. They call it name checking. You know, it was started by Nina Simone, the great jazz pianist. After Liberace died in '87, she name checked him in "My Baby Just Cares for Me." Well, that went to number 5 on the British charts, and everybody else started name checking him too. So now he's in the music of everybody from Tim McGraw to Kid Rock to Billy Joel to Lady Gaga to Nicki Minaj.
Now this here museum is unbelievable, only one of a kind. Because I mean, there's nothing. Not what you have here in this museum is you showing these exhibits in different parts of the world. They hire the foundation, or they hire the costumes that he's used throughout the years. Now we're going to show you viewers out there. As we're talking, you'll see that they'll be showing some of the costumes that you have an exhibit here. Which costumes are the most popular?
Well, there are some that are so famous. People know them from different acts, and it depends on what part of the country they're from and where they saw Liberace. But certainly the long coats, the long capes, the ultra bejeweled and bedazzled costumes, the crystal costumes, those of course are the most known. We have about 100 costumes and capes. You know, if you put it all together, it's just it's tremendous. But they do travel around the country, and we presently have a couple of costumes heading over to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. They'll be there for the Met Gala, and they'll be there until September 8th. We have costumes going into Monaco for Liberace's 100th birthday. There's all sorts of different exhibits pertaining to Liberace all over the U.S. and even around the world.
Now here at the Liberace Museum, you have also pianos. I see they have several pianos around the mansion here. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these pianos, some of the history?
It's a great setting here because the pianos go so well in a room like this, for example. I mean, here over my shoulder you can see there's one of the original pianos from the Liberace Museum collection. That's an early jazz type of a piano, which Liberace owned. But there are several around the mansion here, and they date from as early as 1830.
Wow.
Some of them played by famous artists like Liszt and Brahms. So it's quite the collection that he had in the original museum, and those pianos are here on display.
How about some of that glitter that all the fancy rings and everything? I got a few myself, but I mean,
a little bling?
He had a little bling. Tell us a little bit about the bling that he had.
Yeah, Liberace was the original king of bling, right? So, recently his jewels were featured at the Paris Museum of Modern Art because he was really the harbinger of modern hip-hop jewelry. I mean, if you look at what Liberace wore in the 1970s, it's what everybody in hip-hop is trying to show right now. So they contextualized it that way at the Paris Museum of Modern Art, and it was there for 6 months. Those original rings that are so famous, those being the giant piano ring that was given to him by Baron Hilton, and the big candelabra ring that was given to him by Bill Hara, and others by labels and by other venues and by governments, those are also all in the collection, and we do exhibit those from time to time. The next exhibit of those will be in Monte Carlo in May on Liberace's birthday. We have an exhibit called Diamonds Are Forever, the Liberace Jewels in Monte Carlo.
Okay, now in Monte Carlo is the 100th birthday coming up. Now, what type of reservation is it open to the public? Walk us through that. What's going on with that?
We just launched the Save the Date, which is May 16th, 2019 in Monte Carlo, and the tickets will go available at Liberace.org, and so you'll be able to go online and purchase tickets there at Liberace.org. They'll probably become available within the next 2 weeks.
Good. So the other things that people want to know about is how did this come about with the museum opening up here? Was because the original museum closed down and this one opened up?
Yeah, well, the original museum closed down and everything was in storage and pretty much closed down for quite some time. And the objective was to find a way to get it exhibited, at least to be able to show it to those commercial entities that may brand license Liberace And so this space became available by donation.
Okay. Here at the Liberace Museum Foundation, we'll be right back.
Coming soon, La Mansión Luxurious Assisted Living Residence is nestled on the northwest part of Las Vegas. La Mansión provides luxurious accommodations coupled with optimal care. Residents needing assisted care can rest easily knowing exceptional care is our standard. La Mansión strives to help residents forget they're living in an assisted living residence and works to create an atmosphere reminiscent of a home, better yet vacation. La Mansión is a family-owned and operated assisted living residence dedicated to providing seniors assistance with activities of daily living such as dressing, bathing, management of medication, while providing high quality of life to all our residents. Our residents consist of 12 luxurious suites and will offer the latest amenities, privacy, and comfort for each of our residents. You can reach us at lamansionlv.com or you can call 702-630-4810 for further information.
So, Jonathan, tell me, as far as bookings for this beautiful tour, how much is the cost of the tickets, and how can they get online to make reservations?
It's $129 per person. That includes transportation and champagne lunch. It's adults only. It's we don't have any kids on this tour because the artifacts are up close and personal. You know, you're able to get very close to everything and really get the stories of everything and get a really good look at it. The tickets are available online at liberacemuseum.com, and you can pick it up right there, schedule it when you want it, and tell us all the particulars that you need and where to be picked up, etc., and it does it all for you right there.
So transportation is included as well?
That's correct. We send a car to pick you up and to drop you off.
Okay, so now this here tour is a tour, you viewers out there, that is, like I mentioned before, it's a tour one of a kind. You're never going to see anything like it. It's not like going to a regular museum. You're coming into an actual mansion. And the history of this mansion, as we mentioned before, it was built back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And then the present owner took it over in when the original owner passed away. Anel Iglesia owns it now. And of course, you've been here for how many years now?
The foundation came in here in 2014. And after Consul Iglesias had took back the property after the last tenant, which was a pretty famous guy too.
Who was that individual? Everybody wants to know about that.
This is the last residence of Michael Jackson.
Really?
Yes.
So that's what a lot of the tourists are coming here. A lot of the visitors here to the museum, Liberace Museum, not only are able to see all the artifacts of Liberace, but this is a room like where we're sitting right now.
Sure.
This is a room where actually Michael Jackson actually walked in every day and did some rehearsal.
Sure.
And wrote some of his songs.
Sure, that's right. He lived at this place for 2.5 years with his kids, and when he came to Las Vegas and settled, finally this was the spot. There's quite the history of Michael Jackson in Las Vegas. The last 2.5 years of that was here at this house. People do come to have a look at that. That's how it came to be known as Thriller Villa. It is quite the space to see. And also, within the contextualizing of the collections here, you do find out that Liberace was quite the mentor of Michael Jackson. They knew each other since Michael was 14, when they performed together in London, actually, at the Royal Variety performance.
And that's where Michael Jackson ended up with all that glitter, all the fancy outfits. He copied it from Liberace.
They are known to have had conversations about that, and Michael Jackson's costumers made no secret of being influenced heavily by Liberace.
Unbelievable. Now, Liberace is an individual that lived here in Las Vegas most of his life. He was originally from where?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time in New York, a lot of time in Palm Springs and Hollywood, but Vegas was his favorite.
Yeah. At what age did Liberace start performing?
Well, he was a child prodigy, so he starts hitting the keys where people realize there's something about this kid when he's 3 years old. By the time he's 5, they realize he's going to be supporting the family. And by the time he was 14, he was.
Would you say he was like a genius?
Yeah, he was absolutely child prodigy, natural born talent, musical genius, no question about it.
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm like that, but then I'm told, Joe, you wake up, you're dreaming.
You and me both.
But I really think that this is going to be a great tour for the viewers out there. If you're a visitor here in Las Vegas, this is a must-see, off the strip location.
It's an unusual thing, people want to see, when they want to see what's really the history and culture of Las Vegas, this is certainly a peek into that. Vegas has incredible history, but we do not wear it on our sleeve. And it's not as easy as getting in a taxi cab and saying, take me over to the Louvre. You got to know where you're going. And this is certainly one of those tours.
Yeah, now, Jonathan, being that you're an historian when it comes to Liberace, now, how did Liberace, his last years of his life, as we all know, he died at the age of 70, what?
67.
67.
Yeah.
He was pretty young.
Yeah.
He died. Now, where was his last performance at? Was it in Las Vegas or was it abroad?
His last public performance was on Oprah, actually. Yeah, his last concert was in New York at Radio City Music Hall. His last place in Las Vegas that he played was Caesar's Palace in 1985.
1985.
Right.
Wow, that really, he used to travel around. I remember watching him on television where they had the black and white TV screen.
Yeah.
And then later on, of course, they were the color, but I remember
Yeah.
watching him when I was a kid growing up myself. See this guy with his hair and all this glitter, and they'll come out with the long capes and whatnot.
Yeah.
This is what you have an exhibit here at the museum.
Yeah, it is. It is.
The
Yeah.
original stuff.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people saw all they saw the movie Behind the Candelabra,
Yeah.
which is of course about a part of Liberace's life, 7 years of his life anyway.
That was played by Michael Douglas.
Yeah, played by Michael Douglas, and Matt Damon stars in it as well.
Right.
The costumes from that movie as well are on display with us. So,
Wow. So that's
but the
really-
originals are far more spectacular.
Really?
Yes.
As you know, you have a big storage here of all
Yes.
these artifacts.
Yeah, fortunately, this place was built to house that sort of thing, so we have the facility here to do that.
And there's a separate tour that's also attached to Liberace, and that is the Liberace Garage. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Liberace Garage is part of the Hollywood Cars Museum, and it's something that we include with our tour. If you take our tour here at Thriller Villa, it does include your ability to go over any time to see the cars at Liberace Garage. These are the cars that were on stage with Liberace. He was the first performer to take a car on stage in 1958 in Las Vegas when Mercedes-Benz had its conference at the convention center. It was, I believe, the first convention there. They asked Liberace to take one on stage. He did that. He liked it. He liked the impact it had, and it became a tradition. And soon enough, he took the most outrageous cars ever made on stage. The Grand Dame of them all is the largest Rolls Royce ever made, the Phantom 5, 1961 Phantom 5 Sedanka DeVille Rolls Royce limousine that he was driven onto stage. He rode onto stage at the back of that, the one that's white and mirrored, and he got out into massive capes and so forth. That car is the centerpiece of Liberace Garage.
Well, that's amazing because, you could talk about garages, and you think about a garage is where you park your car, or you see the mechanics working on cars there, but this place is a place that's also available for private events as well.
It is, yeah. You can party among Liberace's Rolls Royces, and
As long as you don't get inside of them.
that's right. We manage that, but it's also underneath some of his chandeliers, and there's some other great artifacts there as well that sort of lend some atmosphere to any kind of a Vegas event.
Okay, now the kind of cars you have there, you have several cars in there. You tell us about, I saw a Volkswagen in there. Tell us about the history of that little Volkswagen.
They call it the Volks Rolls. And, it's a Volkswagen Bug that's been added onto in the front and back to look like a Rolls Royce. Looks like a baby version of the real Rolls Royce that's in the collection. Originally, it was the same color. It was painted in 1986 or 85 to match a pink cape that Liberace had.
Wow.
But the little one was for smaller stages originally, and then it was used in Radio City when Liberace came out in such a giant cape that somebody said that thing needs its own car. And so he had the Volksrolls come and pick the cape up and take it off stage. So only Liberace.
Yeah, and only somebody like you will have all that history of Liberace, because these are things that a lot of people don't know about, but you learn about it when you come on tour here.
Sure.
At the Trilla
Right,
Villa.
right, yeah. The most of the stories are, we contextualize it all. We tell you the stories, and most of them are hilarious.
Unbelievable. So you're one of the principal tourist guys here. You have several, but I know when I've been on the tours with you, it's like I usually be just dumbfounded. I cannot believe how much knowledge you have about Liberace.
We have a good time with it. I wrote the tour, but then we trained some other people to do it too. And, we have entertainers that come in and do it. And some of the people that we have around, they either played with Liberace or knew him or performed with his performers and that sort of thing.
Okay, we're going to a brief commercial. We'll be right back.
Coming soon, La Mansión Luxurious Assisted Living Residence is nestled on the northwest part of Las Vegas. La Mansión provides luxurious accommodations coupled with optimal care. Residents needing assisted care can rest easily knowing exceptional care is our standard. La Mansión strives to help residents forget they're living in an assisted living residence and works to create an atmosphere reminiscent of a home, better yet vacation. La Mansión is a family-owned and operated assisted living residence dedicated to providing seniors assistance with activities of daily living such as dressing, bathing, management of medication, while providing high quality of life to all our residents. Our residents consist of 12 luxurious suites and will offer the latest amenities, privacy, and comfort for each of our residents. You can reach us at lamansionlv.com or you can call 702-630-4810 for further information.
Back here again with Jonathan Warren, the chairman of the Liberace Foundation, and Joe Cortez, former international boxing referee. And of course, I love talking about Liberace, the museum, everything that we have here in Las Vegas. You viewers out there, it's a must-see museum. It's one of a kind. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the costumes that he has there, some of the jewelry, and tell us a little bit more about that.
But what's in the museum collection itself?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, we have the costumes of Liberace, all the iconic costumes. There's about 100 costumes and capes. But we also have, most of his awards. The furnishings and collections from his houses, his crystal and those sorts of things. We have his pianos. We have 18 of his pianos here. We have his cars in the collection. We have a tremendous amount of photography and historic documents that would date all the way back to about 1919. And we have his jewelry as well, the famous Liberace jewels, all within the Liberace Museum collection.
Now, tell me a little bit about the designer who designed all this clothing. Tell us a little bit about her.
There are several over the years. There was Frank Acuna in the early years, and Mr. Ortiz as well, and the famous fur designer Ana Natis, who we're fortunate to still have around with us in Las Vegas. She was the fur designer of Liberace. Before that, she was royal couturier to Queen Frederica of Greece and her daughter Queen Sofia of Spain. So she brought quite an audience with her when she came to Las Vegas.
Unbelievable.
And also, there's the costume designers Michael Travis, the famous Michael Travis, who was a big-time Hollywood costume designer when he came to work for Liberace. He created most of that super bling that Liberace is known for, along with Liberace. And one of his apprentices, who also created a couple of very memorable Liberace costumes, is Jim Lapidus. Jim Lapidus is still around as well, lives in Palm Springs, still in the industry, and we hear from him from time to time as well.
Now, talking about Liberace's history, the past, when he first came to Las Vegas, he started performing. You say it was not called the Strip back then; it was just a couple of hotels there. Which hotel was his first performance at?
The Last Frontier. It was then called the Last Frontier, later called the New Frontier, and later called the Frontier.
Okay. All right. See, you viewers out there, this man here knows so much about the Liberace Foundation and so much. That's why he is the leading role of this foundation. That's why he's the chairman, because there's nobody out there. I've been around with him a number of years, And every time I listen to him, he just can't believe all the knowledge that you have, all the history of Liberace. I don't think anybody on this planet knows more about Liberace. I think you know more about him than he knew about himself.
Well, you know, his history is almost, now it's really a history of modern show business. He's sort of the godfather of modern show business. You know, the Las Vegas Weekly did an article on the top 25 headliners in Las Vegas history. Number one was Liberace. They did a lot of homework on that. They said every act, every headliner in Las Vegas history could be traced to or through Liberace.
Now that the viewers out there are getting a little bit more, getting more educated in reference to Liberace's history and whatnot, where does the story, the history about Liberace, where do we go from here? What's the purpose of Liberace Foundation?
You know, it's to support the performing and creative arts. And it continues to do that. Just last week here at Thriller Villa, we have an amazing concert space called, it's the Chapel here, also known as Neverland Chapel. And it is an amazing acoustical space that seats 74 people. And we had the choir from the College of Southern Nevada come and do a whole exhibition night and an amazing concert they did under the direction of Professor Mark Wary.
Okay, now can you tell our viewers again how to get purchase tickets, how to go online, what's the process?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's to come and check the place out. It's liberacemuseum.com, and you can purchase tickets right there. It gives you all the details, the open dates and whatnot. We recommend doing it far in advance because the maximum number we take through at one time is only 12. So we never have a lot of people here at one time. And it's a long tour. It's 2.5 hours, including lunch. So make sure you book in advance and get yourself a space.
Again, the website?
liberacemuseum.com.
Okay, viewers, we'll talk to you next week. Take care.